most people can tell you that the key to growth and the key to success is to be consistent in whatever it is that you're pursuing. For me, that's the weight room. For you, that could be anything. In this particular context, it's absolutely the truth. You have to be consistent, and the more often you aim to do the right things, the more likely you will be to succeed in the grand scheme. Occasionally, you make some silly mistakes, and occasionally, you have opportunities to demonstrate some real improvement and some real progress based off of the consistency that you've put in beforehand. This session is an example of both of those instances. The first, the squats, are an example of some uh, lack of thorough thinking and some silly mistakes. For some reason, I think it's because I've been working in the 600-pound range for my squats recently, and all of my deadlifting has been at least that, if not heavier. I forgot how to count in the 500-pound range. Every time I would be adding weights to 495 to go into the 500s, I was just incorrect and off by about 10 pounds. So I started this session out not feeling very good, feeling like everything was heavy, everything was sluggish. That first set was supposed to be 525 for 5, it was 535 for 5. This is supposed to be 545 for 5 reps, and I put on 555 by accident. I totally miscounted for some reason and was just in my head that, yeah, this is how I get to those weights. And it was not until I was about to load up 565, which I knew was the 5 plates on each side and a 35, where I looked at it and said, why is that only 10 pounds more than what I just did if it was, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. And it's okay to be an idiot sometimes, as long as you're safe about it and as long as you learn a lesson. Next time I will definitely make sure my math is right leading up. I will say that 560 is the most that I've ever repped a squat for 5 reps before. It was definitely challenging to come into this last set after having already done more on my previous 2 sets than I had anticipated. The way I set these sessions up, the way I set up my 5s, my triples, and my doubles, each of the sessions, my top set, my last set, should be the equivalent to where I think my max is for that day, or that week, moreover. And so when I throw off or do something goofy in those working up sets, it definitely puts me at a disadvantage to be able to perform to my absolute best on the top set. However, I was able to make it through. Thank goodness I didn't end up hurting myself, and it was definitely one of those times where I was mentally tested, and I am excited to have gone through that. As much as I will do my best to never let it happen again, I did get extra work in today, and I think it's something I can live with. I'd rather make the mistake and do more weight than make the mistake of not doing enough and come back being frustrated with myself for not having done the work I had planned. Afterwards, I did my front squats, and those are not my SBD knee sleeves. I switched those for my Ray-Bans. I just like to wear them inside out because I just prefer the black side to the blue side. It's completely cosmetic and has no other effect. After that, we get to the point where you get to see the opposing idea, or the other idea that I had mentioned in the beginning of this commentary. You get to see some excitement based off of consistency paying off. And it was just that day today where bench was feeling on. All the work I did last week and the weeks prior finally built up to this moment, this 390, which I was pretty excited about. Yep, I personally consider that the most weight that I've ever legitimately pressed. Some people say, well, you definitely pressed 391 at your last meet. While I did get credit for that lift, I personally didn't feel satisfied with it. I didn't think that it was to the standard I wanted to complete the lift, even though it was to the standard that the judges said was acceptable, and I appreciate and respect that. But honestly, I'd rather get red lighted and for a call that I disagree with potentially than get white lighted for a lift that I'm not proud of, and so I hope that doesn't end up getting me some uncalled for red lights in the future, but it is something I consider, and I definitely hold myself to a different standard than any group of other people might do. I'm my own biggest critic, and I think that's one of the reasons I've been as successful in this sport as I have. Anyway, tangent over. Worked up to that 390, dropped back, hit 365 for a double, which I don't remember having done, at least in recent history, with my real weights and not at the rec center. And afterwards, I dropped down and did 355 for 10 pause doubles, and I must say that the weight was moving very well. In the previous few Tuesday sessions that I've had, where I've done this similar workout structure, I cannot say that I have consistently been able to keep my rear end on the bench for all of my back off work. It's been a little floaty in some of those, in some of my top sets even. And this was the first session that I was able to keep that weight consistently moving and also keep my hindquarters in check. I didn't film all of them because it just would make this video so much longer. Instead, I filmed the first few, probably more than I even needed to, and then the final set because I did an extra long pause on the 10th set because I knew I was done at that point. Afterwards, I added in my accessory work, where I did my rope pull-ups. That's new for me. That's something I'm trying to help to work on my grip without trashing my hands. Just a little something extra. I noticed that that rope attachment was really difficult when I was doing my hammer curls with it, especially if I do this little thing where I use my pinky, my ring fingers, my middle fingers, and then make finger guns with my index and my thumb. It takes a lot of the pressure and puts it on the forearms and on the grip, and I think it's a good training tool, and I'm just going to utilize it since I am using what I have. Afterwards, I did my dips, but instead of just doing them with body weight this time, I threw the band, red band with a single choke on the right side around my neck, on the top of my neck, not in a dangerous way, but in a way that would make the lockout a little bit more difficult and thus help facilitate some of that extra tricep activation. That was it. Afterwards, I did some ab wheel rollouts, but this is one of those sessions where I had some ups and downs, but it was a pretty awesome experience to go through and a validation of all the work that I've been putting in. And I'm just continually excited to see where it's going. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like rating, share it with your friends, comment down below. It's always exciting for me to read you guys' comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead, watch it again, give it another chance. If you still don't like it, maybe leave a like rating. And if you leave a dislike rating, at least give me a comment down below why, so I know what you didn't like instead of just adding negativity for the sake of negativity. You might be a nice person. I might be a nice person. Who knows? Other than that, I hope you are doing great wherever you're at, and have a great night. Bye.